My mandate was to speak to you on working together, restoring trust, and rebuilding economy. So I've added a couple of lines. I said, I build sustainable business. And that's because our role here, the way for us to build a sustainable economy is by building sustainable businesses. And I'm sure that guys are here as business people, whether as entrepreneurs or small business owners. The small business is the engine of every economy. That's how we drive, that's how economy grows to build. Through small businesses that grow to become businesses that grow to become big businesses. And for me, what I will be speaking on is how can we grow national brands from Akwa. We've seen a couple of businesses, a number of them, whether it's Dangote or the MTN, they all started in small businesses. And how can we invite the global practices, global processes, so that tomorrow we can also have small businesses grow from Akwa and become national brands. And that's the way for us that we would contribute towards the sustainable economy. Every business. Why have to speak louder? Okay. Now every business is affected by the realities of the market that we are operating. Understanding those realities is what will determine whether your business thrives or whether your business falls. And they're very important. The first thing you must understand, and I think the Honorable Justice spoke about the operating environment and how this is. A number of times we've seen businesses that we thought it was because of how smart we are as a business, and that's why we're operating efficiently. But you realize the number of markets, that your operating environment is very key and can help you to drive your business. It's important for you to understand how you can minimize the hostility of that environment and how impact your business. And when there are offsites, how you can leverage on those offsites to grow your business. And as entrepreneurs and small business people, there are a number of things that we have to manage on a day-to-day basis. But I would always say that for every entrepreneur, which you won't be a CEO if you are a big entrepreneur, there are 5 things that should worry you. Number 1 will be your commercial strategy. Your commercial strategy includes your products, your go-to-market, your marketing, everything about your commercial strategy. That's the number 1 thing that bothers every entrepreneur. And we'll go into the details of what commercial strategy is. But number 2 is your people, your culture, and your operating model. And a number of times, we underestimate the impact of our people and culture, what the impact of people and culture will have on our business. But I have learned, and I think when I went to business school, I always expected that a number of 90% of the courses we'll be teaching or will be taught will be on finance, marketing, and all of those things. But you realize that the greater bulk of what they teach you, the greater bulk of what they try to make you understand as a business person is really about people, really about leadership, it's not the softer skills. So that the business person, how you manage your people, is perhaps one of the most critical factors that will determine whether your business thrives or fails. So that's the number 2 thing. The third would be stakeholder management. Every business, and the number 1 role of whether you're a CEO or a business owner, is how to create the optimal operating environment for your people to work. If you have staff, how do you ensure that you are creating the environment for them to be able to do their job effectively? By engaging, whether it's the police force, whether it's the community, but that's very critical. You need to be able to take out the distraction from them so that they're able to focus on doing the job. And that's one of the jobs, one of the key jobs you find yourself doing. Your stakeholders obviously might include even your investor community, whether you're raising funds, whether you're raising capital, whether from the bank or from people. The fourth, and this is very important if you want to do a sustainable business, is your governance. How are you putting structures in place that will enable people to be able to look at your business and be able to invest in it? Because you will find out that one of the things we must be mindful of when we are building business is the mentality of it is my own, having it 100% to yourself. You must ensure that you're able to bring people that can add value to your business and are able to grow it. And I always say 80% of 1 million is bigger than 100% of 500,000. It's better you have people work with you. And to ensure that people can work with you effectively is how you create a proper governance structure, a proper accounting method, a proper way of showing transparency, not just to yourself, but also to people that will potentially invest in your business. And finally, we talked about commercial strategy, right? We talked about people and culture. We talked about stakeholder management, and we talked about governance. Okay, that means you're following. The last one is your numbers. Understanding your numbers. Ultimately, every business exists to create value, and that value translates to naira and kobo. Right? Understanding from your top line how you create value, how you generate revenue to how you hit the bottom line is that important. I've seen businesses that I talk to people and they are making lots of money. There's lots of money coming through as revenue, but they don't understand their cost drivers. They don't understand how value is created and how value is destroyed in the business. What's the margin when you sell a single item? Right? If you're selling Indomie, what's your margin? Is it 15% for every 100 naira that you sell? Are you retaining 15 naira as your gross? And if you are retaining 15 naira as your gross, what cost goes into that 15 naira? How much is fuel? How much is salary? How much is all of that? You need to be able to understand those numbers and drill it down to your bottom line before you start making profits. Right? Otherwise, you see people make huge and tons of top line revenue, but at the end of the day, they are running a huge loss and they don't understand it. Right? You are working for everyone else except yourself. Right? So it's important that you understand that bit. So if you understand the 5 things you're supposed to do as a business owner, and those 5 levers that you're supposed to be involved in, then you need to now distill it. Every business operates in three environments. And you call it the macro, the micro, and the core. What's the macro? The macro is understanding from the political environment to the economic drivers of your business, to the social drivers of your business, to the regulatory, right, and the laws. Now you must understand each of those things and how they affect your business. The economy, for instance, if you're working in an environment where on a constant basis you need to understand what are the economic drivers that will drive and affect my business. It could be inflation, right? It could be the movement of FX, right? And there are businesses that have underestimated the movement of dollar or the movement of foreign currency on their business, right? If you are contracting and you're engaging people that you're going to supply or you're going to produce something for a particular price and you're not taking into consideration the fact, you've not gotten a sense of the outlook. How much will dollar be 3 months from now? How much will dollar be 6 months from now? How do I protect my business? If I'm working in an environment where foreign exchange is very volatile, right? And there are different ways you can do it. You could decide to stock your inventory ahead. You could decide to lock in a contract with your supplier that says I'm going to buy from this price over a 12-month period, right? It's called a futures contract. So you're able to lock in that contract and you hold it. And that way you guarantee your supply at a certain price and know that you're going to be able to know you can produce and lock in your prices. So understanding those factors again is important. Otherwise, you could have headwinds, movement in a particular direction that you did not estimate or you did not plan, and it takes out your business. There are numbers of businesses that have done that way. The famous MTN that became 9 Mobile suffered the same challenge, right? Took a huge debt that was dollar denominated, and we now know how dollar has moved in the last 2-3 years. Right? They assumed that dollar was going to be 150 naira and it's now trading at 400 naira. 3x, your cost has increased by 3x. Right? So So your understanding of those things is very important. I'm not talking about building a sustainable business. I'm not talking about building a business that pays your bills today, but one that is generational, that you can hand over to generations ahead. So you need to understand the impact of these things. The impact of inflation. What's the outlook on inflation? What's the trend? Right? With inflation 14-15%. Inflation will not just affect how you're buying things, but also how you are selling. Right? Are you selling products that you can adjust prices? Are you at liberty to? I have, and it could be something as basic as I'm selling plantain chips. The price of plantain chips at 100 naira, you cannot move it. Right? You move it to 120 naira, you have funding challenge. People want to buy, but there's no change. You move it to 150 naira, it becomes a problem. You increase the price by 2x. Right? So inflation does not just affect the price of what it affects your end user price. The thing that you're selling, how elastic it is, how much can my customers accommodate an increase in price? Every increase in price is more likely to lead to reduction in demand. Okay? Except your product is really very elastic, and you know if I adjust my price, people will. It's a luxury item. So all of those things are very critical, and that's why it's important that you understand the environment that you're operating in. Right? If you look at the social angle, what segment am I selling to? What demographics? Am I selling to the youth? Am I selling to a segment that is becoming age? And at the age, do they still want this product? Right? If you notice today, a lot of the major brands are coming to Africa and Nigeria. Why? And a lot of them are coming to sell many things like Pampers. And that's because the growth rate in Africa outstrips every other continent. We're still heavily into baby manufacturing, baby producing like that. So a lot of people know that if you're in Asia where you have a one-child policy and you're selling Pampers, then you run out of business. You need to come to Africa where the demographics support that. Okay? So I need to understand that too for your product, for your service. So it's important as business owners, and I think you just established that you constantly need to scan the macro environment and understand what are those things that will influence my business the most. How do I take advantage of them? And how do I minimize the impact of those things on my business? Right? Very important. The second thing would be to look at the environment that you operate, the industry that you operate in. How is that industry evolving? There are certain industries that no matter how you try, a number of times, because of the dynamics in that industry, it's very difficult to make money. It might be an industry where there's huge and fierce competition, and they are competing to the bottom. They are constantly undercutting themselves and changing prices, and everybody is competing to the bottom. And your possibility of making money there, in as much as there's huge demand, might be very difficult. In those kind of cases, if you want to assess whether you need a different product or you need a different service to complement it. There are markets where there are lots of substitutes. Okay? You're selling a product where people have found substitutes and they are switching from that service to the other. Maybe substitutes like maybe people want to drink malt and you can't find malt. The substitute for it will be Coca-Cola. And you know Coca-Cola will be a substitute that are constantly competing. So how well are you doing against substitute products? It could be that your suppliers in your market are the ones that have the upper hand. And they are constantly pricing and pushing your pricing in locations where it's not sustainable for you. So again, understanding the specific dynamics of your own industry is always very important. It could make or break your business. But then I would move to what I consider the core. Because the first and the second are items that are not within your control. The macro environment, you only will react to it, right? Your industry structure, you will only react to it. But there are things that you are firmly in control as a business owner, and that's your own corporate strategy. That's your firm level strategy. What are you doing in terms of your products? What are you doing in terms of your pricing? What are you doing in terms of your customer engagement? What are you doing in terms of your service levels? I will try and talk through each of them maybe as briefly as you can and as quickly as you can. Firstly is understanding your products. Every business exists to solve a problem. Right? The problem is an opportunity for you to profitably make money by solving that problem. Either by providing a product or by providing a service. Right? Now, your product, not every product is meant to be a profit leader. You can have products that are loss leaders. And it's important that you establish what at least your anchor product is. What's your anchor product? Your anchor product is that product that will allow people to adapt your service at scale. Maybe for MTN, an anchor product is voice. But we do know that MTN sells maybe practically everything. Yeah? Right? But the first thing was to use one service to connect 68, 70 million people. And once you have 70 million people that know your product, know your brand, you can sell as many other things to them. But at times, most times it starts with one. And these days, the practice is you don't need to have a product that is perfect. We're not saying don't strive for perfection. But if you're waiting to have something perfect, your idea completely built up and your product completely built, most times they will say you're already into market. So most people will say start with what is called an MVP. Have a minimum value proposition. What's the basic that my customer can start consuming? And make your market your laboratory. Right? Be agile enough to listen to your customers, to listen to them, to take their feedback, and you are quick enough to incorporate the things that you're telling you. Right? I had a neighborhood supermarket. Somebody opened a neighborhood supermarket the other day. And they had barely nothing in that supermarket. But this guy had a piece of paper with basic inventory. And as you come in and you walk around, and you say, I want, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm looking for, and he doesn't have it, he's taking notes. He said, come back next week, it's going to be available. And before long, he had a shop, but was largely empty. He had taken feedback from people to understand the relevant thing that he needed to stock in supermarket, so that when people come there, it was relevant. He had a small space. Next to him was a bigger supermarket. In that small space, if you walk in there, you would find everything that was relevant for you to buy. Meanwhile, the guy next door that had a similar footprint, you could walk in there and you would not find things that are relevant. Right? It's understanding your customer insight and making your market your laboratory so that you can learn from them and cooperate those insights. And that's why innovation, when they say innovation does not have to be the next big iPhone or the next exciting thing. It could be something as basic, right? As understanding how to package your product. One of the most celebrated business cases people talk about when you learn marketing is the case of cowbell. Cowbell came into Nigeria when they said the market for milk was saturated. Everybody had milk, there is no way, people they no longer want milk. People are taking the market. What people failed to understand was how their users consume their products. In Nigeria, we have what we call the sachet economy, right? Because of the purchasing power of people, the customers that would like to go the market or the market leader was simple. Introduce it in sachet. Let people take 20 naira or 50 naira and they can still drink the same tea without having to buy a big, right? So at times, innovation is something that basic, understanding how your customers consume your product and packaging and pricing it at the right level. In telco, it's no different. We moved from a market that used to be postpaid. Everyone that rolled out telecommunication services in most markets did it as postpaid. The postpaid market is difficult. We need to assess anyone, all of you, for credit. Essentially, we're taking a credit on you. That's what the old NEPA used to do. That's what the old NITEL used to do. Consume and pay later. But that's the credit you're taking on. You're taking a credit risk of that customer. And more likely than not, you might not be able to recover what the person has consumed. So you switch it and have a prepaid model. But don't just have a prepaid model. You ensure that you can sell in denomination where the honorable judge can buy 5,000 naira a move, but the gentleman on the road can also buy. Yeah. The gentleman on the road can also buy 100 naira, right? That suits his needs. He does not want to buy what he needs to call for a month. He just wants to buy enough to call for today. And tomorrow he will buy again, and tomorrow he will buy again. The thing has to go, right? So there's such economy. So you need to understand your customer, how they are consuming your service, and how you can package your product. You might sell the same thing, but again, innovation does not have to be like that. It has to be an iPhone. It could be those very basic things, right? The next thing is distribution, and it's one that I'm always very passionate about. And if we're talking about how can we build national brands out of Akwa Ibom, you need to understand how to distribute your products. You need to be able to understand how you can produce from Oran, how you can produce from Ikonobasi and from Badeni, and be able to deliver that service or deliver that product in Damaturu. If there's anything that you know about one of the things that's exciting about MTN or things like Coca-Cola, is that we say it's everywhere you go. It's coverage, it's distribution, it's the ability for you to be able to produce that service, whether it's in Lagos, but ensure that whether it's in my village in Asom or in that big village in Damaturu, that product is available to whoever wants to consume it. And it's the difference between having a local or a state brand and having a national brand. How do you distribute to the last mile? Okay? And there are simple ways of doing it, right? Now, firstly, is most people will rely on, when I have a product, I rely on a direct marketing approach. I need to sell it myself. That method can never scale. You can only sell as much as you as one person can. Okay? Max is you take it to as many supermarkets to carry it from you. Now, if you want to be able to build a national brand, you must figure out how to build a national distribution by having a basic, whether it's your super distributors, whether it's your regional distributors, right? And be able to design an incentive scheme that allows them to work for you, right? Every time you take a product, for an average product, you need to build in your distribution cost. And you know that, and let's say something like basic as, again, let's say plantain chips. I want to be able to distribute my plantain chips, produce it in Akwa Ibom, but have it available in Sokoto, for instance. Now you build in 15% and understand that the people that will produce for me, the people that will distribute for me will take a 15%. If I hand it over to a super distributor, it probably will take 6%. Right? The super distributor will hand it over to the person in the supermarket who will take another 5 or 7%, and that's healthy. So having an incentive scheme and being able to appoint your distributors across national geographies is very key if you want to be able to effectively distribute your product. And most times you don't have to do it with build a different distribution chain. You have people who already carry inventory. Take for instance, somebody is carrying Indomie. On that Indomie truck, and that person that distributes Indomie, you can carry a complimentary service. And so those are the people that you will seek out in every state and see if they can carry your own inventory, right? And also have a commission structure in place that allows them to be able to benefit from it. MTN today is no different. When we distribute our airtime, I'm sure you know, at every layer we have super distributors. Those super distributors on their own would have points of distributors in every local government. And that local government person can decide to appoint other sub distributors in every village. That's how you get from national level to the last mile. Everybody taking a piece of whether it's a 20% or a 25% margin that you put in between that allows them to carry your inventory and to make money in the process. So very important. So we must build a national brand out of Akwa Ibom. Understanding how we build an effective distribution network is very important. Okay? Now, but today, we're not just talking about how we will distribute physically. There is now the beauty of technology that allows us to distribute our goods in digital format, allows us to leverage digital platforms to distribute our goods. And if there's one thing that technology does very well, it's about taking away the middleman. Where you used to have 5 people distribute one service from one person to the other, you can have fewer people. Or in most cases, you can have no one at all. Today, almost 50% of the airtime that we charge, and honorable, before you leave, we would have to show you how you can top up virtually without the need for recharge cards. A lot more and more of the products that people sell come through digital platforms. And with digital platform, you can distribute to the last mile without the need for a middleman and without the need for paying the hefty commissions. The biggest, or we should say, the biggest car manufacturer in the world today by valuation is who? Tesla, right? Tesla has no distributor. Tesla has adopted what we call a D2C, a direct to customer approach. You want to buy a car, come on the internet, give us the specification of your car, build your car online, pay for it with your credit card, give us your address, and we deliver it to you in 3 months or in 2 months. Right? That way, because they are not paying the 15% that you normally would have given to your middleman, you can pass on those benefits either to your customers as cost savings, or you can earn it as additional income. So the beauty of technology is that if anything technology does better, that we say it intermediates the middleman. It takes away the middleman and you can interact with your customer directly. So part of building the national brand is you must understand how to leverage technology and how you can distribute using digital platforms. Whether it's the juniors, the coders, they offer storefronts for you to be able to sell your product directly to customers. Beyond distribution is the fact that you must build a brand. What's the brand? The brand is more than a logo, it's more than a name, it's more than an identity. It's the promise that you make to customers. And maybe I'll tease a couple of questions here. When you see Volvo, what comes to your mind? Anybody? Strength? Anyone else? Strength, yes. And that's very true. But another item is safety. Volvo tries to build the most secure vehicle that when you're involved in an accident, occupants of the vehicle are safe. And so they don't go into all the aerodynamics, all the fancy and pretty things. It's a strong vehicle, but also very safe. When you see MTN, what comes to your mind? A roof, coverage everywhere you go, right? And that's the positioning of the brand. That's what we try to represent. That in terms of coverage, anywhere you go, you will get a signal, you will also be able to buy our products. I'll try a local one. Even air. Reliability. Right? Reliability. Yeah? I always say in my office, Ibom Air is not one of the approved airlines for us to fly. If you want to fly, our travel department will buy a ticket from Ibom Air. It's not listed. But a lot of people still would elect, whether they are private or not, they elect to pay from their pocket to fly from Air and come back and be reimbursed. Because you know, if you want to be at the airport, you want to be on time for a meeting, most people now know that the airline to fly is Ibom Air. And that's what a brand represents. It's the promise that you make to your customers. And as companies, especially again, we're thinking of how we build national brands. You must think of deliberately building your brand. Now, even if you don't put deliberate effort to cultivate and to build your brand, there is the brand perception, how people perceive your brand. Right? A classic example, NEPA or PACL. Right? They don't need to build a brand, right? There's a clear perception. Okay? So your brand needs to be able to communicate your product, needs to be able to communicate what you represent. Right? And you need to be very deliberate in trying to build that brand, to make it recognizable and to make it consistent in delivering that promise. Okay? So again, we're talking about how we build national brands. So building national brands, you need a recognizable brand that can consistently deliver on its promise. A recognizable brand, which is your fancy logo or the fancy name, but it needs to be able to consistently deliver on the promise. And that's what building a brand is. And you need to be very deliberate at it. Okay? And there are professionals today, brand influencers and people that can work with you to cultivate and to build a brand. Beyond building the brand, how much time do I have? Right? Beyond building the brand, it's the fact now that you must deliver on service. And it's an item that across maybe Sub-Saharan Africa, most times we struggle. Service consistency. Knowing your customer and be able to deliver consistent service to your customer. is as important. What would attract customers? Most times is the brand and the promise that you make. What will make them stay is the consistency of the service delivery. And that's at times even more important. That you have a customer-centric approach. So that's some of those things that we have control of as a business person, right? How we deliberately build across all of those elements is one of those things that will ensure that we either survive, we build a sustainable company that survives. Beyond that core of strategy, and everybody knows how to do that, is how do you manage your people and what culture are you building in your organization? Like I said, most times we always think that business is about the hard things. How do we market? How do we sell? How do we produce? That's very, very important. But what would determine whether a company sustains itself or survives in the long term is really your people and your culture, the leadership style. As Africans, and we must be very deliberate that you need to decide what bit of the culture that you bring into your company as an African, right? And what bit of culture you want to build in your company. A classic case of where you must separate your personal culture from your business is a classic case of airlines. The classic case of an airline is an Asian airline. And we know Asians are very big on respect. Very huge on respect. But they found out that this airline was with the best place and with the best training was consistently having accidents. Was consistently involved in incidents. What would be the problem? And they had to hire a consultant to understand what was going on, consistently having accidents. Was consistently involved in incidents. What would be the problem? And they had to hire a consultant to understand what was going on in this company that had the best pilots with the best planes. And it turns out it was the culture, the Asian culture that crept in. Asians are huge on respect. The role of the pilot and the co-pilot in an airplane is not that of the senior and the junior pilots. They are co-pilots. That's why it's called a co-pilot, not a junior pilot. Right? When the pilot does engages a particular dial, the co-pilot is supposed to double check because you have slim chances of error. One person can make a mistake, but the other person is supposed to be constantly checking. In a culture of respect, that struggles. Right? Because the junior pilot, which when you look at it, most times the senior pilot or the captain is most times older. And the junior pilot or the co-pilot is a younger person. Right? And the co-pilot thought that his instruction or his job was to defer and be respectful to the captain. So when the captain does anything, he can't criticize, he can't comment, he can't say otherwise. It is not going 200 miles per hour, yes, captain, he engages 200 miles. Right? And now because, again, the company had allowed the external culture to creep in. And to creep in a place where the culture was supposed to be different. Okay? And that led to lots of mishaps because they were not both playing their role and aligning culture. So when you build your own company, you need to understand that. One of the things that we struggle with, and we see that in companies, we see that a lot in our corporate world, we Africans, we Nigerians, we struggle with it. We were groomed in a culture, again, that expected that we should be respectful to our elders, right? You don't expect that you should be contradicting what your elders say. When they say, they are all knowing. But as companies who are trying to build a culture, and that's not your own culture, you're trying to build a culture of innovation. The culture of innovation means that the gate man might be the one that has your magic solution, right? Your cleaner might be the person that has that bright idea. You need to be able to stimulate conversation from the bottom up, right? The benefit of leadership, and for me, the joy of leadership, is that you don't have to think it all alone. You have a team of people, and hopefully that you have hired people who are the brightest. You're not hiring people that are like yourself. You're not one that is intimidated by a smart person. That's the guy going to outshine me, so let me hire someone who is less smart, right? That you surrounded yourself with a smart person, with smart people. The beauty of leadership is that you can allow these people to guide you. You can benefit from the insight and the perspective that they bring. And every company ought to be building a culture of innovation, a culture that allows, if you must survive into the long term, right? A culture that allows everyone within the organization to be able to contribute. Everyone in the organization that understands that their input is valued in the organization. So those are the small things. When we say building corporate culture, you need to understand your culture as an organization and how you deliberately build it in a manner that emphasizes the values you want to communicate as an organization. You need to also be able to treat people, more importantly, the way you want them to treat your customers. There is the organ mentality in Nigeria, right, and everywhere else. Most organizations today will tell you we try to encourage a flat structure. The fact that you earn more than the other person doesn't mean you're smarter than the person, right? It's your salary is completely different from your grade level or where you are in the organization. So having that culture, not just whether in our corporate life or even in our political life, that thrives on innovation and encourages people across the different cadre of the organization to be able to contribute is important. And while I know in a number of cases we live in an employer's market, there's huge unemployment, and a lot of people are looking for jobs. And as employers, there's a tendency for us to feel that we can lord it over our employees. But we also need to be very deliberate in understanding that the smartest of us, the smartest of our employees, have a number of options. And they will only stay with you if you treat them the way they ought to be treated. Lastly, I will just address the issue of the sustainable angle in that of governance. And we talked about governance, putting the structure in place that I was last year, putting the structure in place and a succession plan that says, if I as the owner, if tomorrow I decide to go on to do something else, that there's a team of people within my own organization that will carry on my ideals and carry on the goals that are set up for my organization. So I will wrap on that basis, and I'm hopeful that some of these things that are passed out will enable us in our businesses to start thinking local but act global, and that tomorrow we will have a couple of national brands that will come and provide us. Thank you.